Happy New Year for 2017. Let's hope it's going to be a very exciting year for all of us. I'm going to crack on and get straight into the presentation. We've got lots to get through this morning, so I really want to sort of push through and make sure that you get all the facts. This is where you hear everything first. JLL, this is the place to hear everything first. So, economic highlights, what we've seen in 2016. I'm sure you're all aware of what has gone on in 2016. CPI target, 5% for the year. We achieved 4.7%. FDI, good solid numbers for FDI, up 7.1% for registered and 9% on year for dispersed FDI. International tourists, big number for international tourists for the year. Over 10 million international tourists coming into Vietnam in 2016. Target was 8.5, and that's a big increase from last year of 7.9 million people. Credit growth target for the year, 18%. We achieved over 18%, 18.7% for credit growth. Interest rates down slightly, depending on how you account on the interest rates, but down slightly on the year. GDP is the only black mark in all the indicators, and this is probably the biggest one. Target was 6.7% and came in quite some way under at 6.2%. In terms of the FDI going into real estate in particular, 1.52 billion US dollars going into real estate in 2016 in 59 different projects. Top countries, South Korea, Japan, Singapore, and China, interestingly enough, now coming into the fold. Top markets, so the real estate market actually dropped down to number 3 ranking. Manufacturing number 1, 64% of FDI going into manufacturing. This is something that Dr. Chua is going to talk about, manufacturing in Vietnam and how it's really influencing the outlook for the country. And retail and wholesale has now slipped into number 2. Just look at how Vietnam looks on a regional basis, and I think this is quite important to really show how Vietnam is standing out and is shining like a diamond. I'm going to refer to that a few times, my catchphrase, no one else's. Vietnam, so how it's looking, GDP growth for the year, 6.2%, how it looks comparable to India and China. The interesting point about Vietnam GDP growth next year, if they can hit the target, then it will be one of the first times it actually surpasses China. So interesting, you can take a note of all the other countries in the region to see how we're comparing. CPI for Vietnam for 2016 compares quite favorably again with India and Indonesia. Just a note on infrastructure. Metro line number 1, you will all be aware of the sort of the progress that's being seen. It seems to be going quite well. Official statistics would suggest it's 70% completed. Not entirely sure about that statistic, but there's a lot of progress being made. And one key thing that is definitely needed in this city is infrastructure and more investment in infrastructure projects. The reason being, car sales this year have jumped significantly, up 22% year on year. We are now seeing major congestion points all around the city. Again, official statistics would demonstrate there's now 35 major congestion points on a daily basis around the city. So with the increase in cars, this infrastructure is becoming very, very important for the city and for the efficiency and productivity moving forward. Moving forward into the apartment market, some big numbers here for the year. So new launches for the year up 46% on the previous year. Big numbers. Units sold up 42.9%. Primary prices, and I think this is the positive part, whilst we're seeing a very, very active real estate market, we're not seeing prices run away that we saw in the previous cycle. Primary prices on the quarter up 1% and on the year up 6.5%. So we're seeing fairly modest increase in prices, which I think is a positive sign that we're not seeing a very overheated market. New launches for the year, record number. This is the biggest number that we've ever seen in the market. So full year for 2016, a massive nearly 36,000 units for 2016, up from 24,500 in 2015. Total stock. Now, I think this is the interesting part. Total stock for all sectors, so this is for affordable, mid and luxury end, 94,000 units. This, whilst we're seeing a huge amount of development activity, you need to think about 94,000 units and the population of Ho Chi Minh in its entirety of 8 million plus people. This total stock of modern units is a minuscule part of the market. Whilst we're seeing lots and lots of development, why we think it's sustainable, and there's certain sectors that may be overheated slightly, we think there is still plenty of room for more development of apartments in Ho Chi Minh. The other positive part is, if we look at this slide, I'm not sure whether you can actually see it, compared to last year, we're seeing a better disbursement of development around the city. Last year was really concentrating on District 2 and maybe Bintan area. This year we're seeing more activity in District 4, District 7, District 2 and other districts. So that again is a big positive. We're seeing a lot of disbursement around the city. Moving on, units sold for the year, and again, big number, 34,000 units for the year. Again, big increase from previous year, up from 23,000 units last year. Average selling prices across the board, and this is for all sectors, we're tracking at about $1,500 per square metre in the primary market and about $1,200 for the secondary market. You can see the breakdown of each of the the sectors. So the affordable sector, about $850 on average. The luxury end of the market, about $4,000 a square metre. Villas, townhouses, again, big year in 2016. Up for new launches, up 162%. Big jumps on the previous year. And units sold up 159%. Again, the big positive about this, the units that are being launched are generally selling out very well. So all the new launches are attracting very strong sales volumes. Price increases more attractive than on the apartment side. So for the year, up 12.5%. So if you're looking for investment opportunities and you're looking for capital growth at the moment, that villa, townhouse, sector is looking more attractive. New launches for the year. Big number again, 3,000 units for the year, up from just over 1,100 on the previous year. And the disbursement again for the townhouses. Now we've got a total stock of 5,000 units. You'll see the predominance of the eastern side of the city. So for townhouse and villa developments, it runs along the eastern side of the city, District 9, District 2, District 7 and Nha Bay. So predominantly those districts are attracting all the interest from a villa and townhouse point of view. Units sold for the year, again, very positive, 2,500 units for the year, up from last year. Average selling prices, just over the $3,300 mark, and again, up from the previous year. A couple of projects that we thought worth mentioning, and slightly different products coming to the market. There's two new products, and this is completely targeted at the luxury end of the market. So the Dimension project by Capital Land in District 1, the first project that we're aware of by a foreign developer in District 1 that's managed to get, so it's 100 residential, high-end residential units, and then the service apartment tower next door to it, and then Serenity Sky Villas, very high-end product by Song Kim Land. It's they're really promoting, but I think only 35 units in that product. So if you're looking at luxury product, you have to develop. It's high-end, very exclusive, and a small number of units is the key to this success. Quick look at how Ho Chi Minh fits in with the region from a pricing point of view. This is on the residential and high-end residential market. So we've seen, this is just for high-end only, up 4.5% in Ho Chi Minh for the year. That compares Shanghai, if you're looking for investments around the region, Shanghai up 17.8%, pretty decent. Or you can go to Singapore and you can get 0.1%. Up to you, where you want to put your money. But interesting, I mean, just how Ho Chi Minh is now fitting into the market on a regional basis. Moving on to the office market. So total supply at the end of 2016 has reached 1.75 million square meters. Still very, very small number when you compare to on a regional basis and regional Southeast Asian cities that we track as well. Some new supply, I mean, 2016, we didn't really see much new supply coming to the market. I think the most notable of the new supply was Mapletree Business Centre, where we've actually had a lot of leasing activity over the last quarter, and is attracting quite a lot of attention. Occupancy rates in the office market, grade A, now tracking at over 95%. Very little new supply in the market, so that occupancy rate continues to sort of increase. Grade B market, we saw some new supply at the end of last year, so the grade B occupancy rate has dipped slightly, but still really, really healthy numbers from an occupancy rate point of view on the office sector. Average rent, you would maybe expect the grade A rents to be improving slightly better than they are, but they're tracking a fairly stable rate, $38.70 on average for grade A, $22 for grade B. So not big increase in the grade A market, which is slightly surprising given the sort of the demand that we're seeing at the moment, and perhaps that will also level off next year when the grade A supply comes through. Top sectors, financial services, legal, manufacturing, FMCG and IT. The encouraging part about this graph is that you're seeing a much bigger percentage of new companies coming into Vietnam. This is a very positive part about the market at the moment. More and more new companies, I mean, backed by the FDI that we're seeing, strong FDI figures translating into new people, new companies looking at office accommodation. New supply coming through for the coming years. I mean, this year we're seeing two great buildings coming to the market. So Deutsche House and Saigon Centre Phase 2. Two high quality grade A office developments attracting a lot of interest at the moment. The key point about both of these developments is that they're getting a lot of pre-leasing commitments. We haven't seen that before in the market, but because of that lack of supply, a lot of pre-leasing commitments being already signed in both buildings. So again, very positive for the market. So those two buildings we would expect to fill up fairly quickly over the course of the next 6 months, 6 to 12 months. And again, then we're back to very little supply coming through in the market. So that rent trajectory we expect to level off and then sort of start taking off again. We see from 2019 onwards, developers have suddenly woken up to the fact there's no office supply in the market. The difficulty is finding CPD or good prime locations to actually develop grade A office. Still very, very challenging. Land values very challenging in the market. So we see after 2019, a lot of new grade A supply we're expecting to come through to the market. So if you're an occupier and you're not ready to move to Deutsche House and Saigon Centre at the moment, hold off until 2019 and we can advise you on the best buildings you can go to. Grade A rental growth. I mean, I think this is an interesting slide. Again, we're just trying to put some comparison into how Ho Chi Minh fits into it on a regional basis. So Ho Chi Minh, we saw, this is just on a quarterly basis, so growth on a quarterly basis, and that compares quite favourably to our counterparts in KL, Shanghai, Singapore and Jakarta. So a lot of those markets now seeing a declining market, rents are coming down. Ho Chi Minh, we still see growth. Hong Kong's pretty active, as you can see. Moving on to retail. Total stock increased slightly on the year, up to 800,000 square meters. Some of the new supply, most notable new supply, I think Aeon in Bintan and Saigon Centre Phase 2, anchored by Takashimaya, two very, very noticeable new supply at the end of 2016. Occupancy rate for retail, just under the 93%. For non-CBD and CBD at 87%. Average rents for retail across the board, $71 and $31 respectively. Now we're seeing it in the retail market, interesting market at the moment. We get lots of stories from retailers and feedback. Some retailers performing well, F&B, entertainment sectors still seem to be performing very well. Some of the fashion retailers, certainly high to mid-end, high-end fashion retailers may be struggling a little bit. Future supply, new supply coming through. I think there's a number of new supply, but still fairly limited, which I think is a good thing. It will allow retailers to sort of soak up the current supply. Fairly limited supply. Some new Vincom Landmark 81 coming in 2018. And some other smaller developments happening, but nothing too noticeable on the horizon at the moment. Lots of plans and lots of proposed developments, but nothing too noticeable. One of the interesting trends that we're seeing in Ho Chi Minh at the moment is some slightly more, some new concepts in terms of retail, and I think it's a really good thing for Ho Chi Minh. We're starting to see some new ideas, a little bit more funky, a little bit more sort of thinking outside the box in terms of retailing, and I think that really works in Vietnam. So some new, all really concentrated around F&B and food courts, and we're just seeing new ideas and landlords and developers thinking about some different concepts in the retail market. And I think that's a theme that we're going to start to see moving forward. On to industrial. So total leasable area, this is for southern markets only, 24,860 hectares in total. This is all markets. It's dominated, as you can see, by Dong Nai and Binh Dung. So average rent. So from a lease point of view, if you're looking to lease a factory, $3 to $3.50, and if you're actually looking to take a long-term lease, averaging around $70 on a long-term lease basis. Ho Chi Minh, obviously the most expensive of those markets. Average occupancy rate across the board, 73%, so pretty good, I mean, strong figure for the industrial market. Again, dominating Binh Dung, the highest occupancy rate at 88%. Future supply, we're going to see significant future supply moving forward, and again, this really dominated by that, a lot of FDI manufacturing very much in vogue in Vietnam, and we expect to see this supply and obviously the demand side increasing in the coming years. So again, dominated in the Binh Dung area and Binh Phuc. Quick word on M&A. For 2016, I mean, a very active year for M&A. Everyone that's on the investment side will know that a lot of deals were closed in the year. According to RCA, approximately $920 million of transactions were closed. in the 2016 period. Some of the more notable ones, sorry, Kum Ho Asian Plaza, one of the biggest deals of the year, traded from Kum Ho to Mapletree, and then K-Nam in Hanoi was a significant deal in Hanoi bought by Aeon Group from Korea. Two $200, $300 million deals, both of those deals together. Other interesting ones in Ho Chi Minh, A&B Tower, as you probably know, and to the Nam Hai in Da Nang, one of the most exclusive sort of hotels in Da Nang, and Six Senses in Con Dao. Interesting hotel transactions during 2016. A lot of M&A transactions, a lot of M&A deals happened in the year. Metro Group completed the sale to TCC, Central Group buying Zalora, and the Big C being also sold to Central Group as well. In terms of JV partnerships being formed, Vinner Capital and Warburg Pincus announced their $300 million new fund for the hospitality fund. Capital Land announced another $500 million for investment in Vietnam, and Indochina and Conjima formed their official sort of JV partnership, which will be looking to develop anything with a bed in it, I think, according to Peter Ryder. M&A capital markets, look at snapshot of how Ho Chi Minh fits from a regional point of view. We're looking at sort of on average about 8.5–9% from a cap rate point of view. And again, this is why Vietnam is attracting so much interest from an investor, foreign investor. All the economic fundamentals are good, and the cap rate on paper looks very, very good. Obviously, there's country risk that's attributed to it, but from a regional point of view, if you're looking at this in your office in America or wherever you may be, you look at all the papers, it looks a very attractive proposition. Obviously, the reality of doing deals in Vietnam is much more challenging, but on paper, very, very, very interesting. So, moving on to our outlook, the most exciting part, GDP. We'll start with the economic figures. These are all targets set by the government. So target growth rate for the GDP is 6.7%. We have the same figure for 2016. It's going to be challenging. It's really going to be challenging to hit that figure, in our opinion. And we probably expect a figure low sixes. And I think most commentators will be saying the same thing. CPI under 4%. I think that's fairly achievable, maybe slightly over. FDI growth, we think that's possible. A lot of FDI, huge amounts of investors want to come into Vietnam, and we expect FDI to be a very, very strong year in the coming year ahead. Credit growth rate of 18%, another target being set. I think this is an interesting one, and I think for 2017, it really depends on banks, the local banks in particular, and how they perform. Are they going to be allowed to hit this credit growth of 18%? Is there going to be any cooling measures that we expect to be put into place? International tourists, we expect, to go up to 11%, but based on the current numbers, we expect that to be achievable. As I mentioned, cooling measures applied. There's been a lot of press about the potential second home tax on residential. So if you're looking at buying a second home in Vietnam, government is talking about a second home tax. I think realistically it's very unlikely. I don't think that the systems are in place to implement a second home tax, not in the near term. So that I think is unlikely this year. I think like I say, it's all down to the banks and how they perform and whether they're allowed to continue this sort of pretty aggressive credit growth rate of 18%. We expect further stimulus on the a loan package on the lower pricing, low house pricing, which I think will help that affordable sector. And then TPP renegotiation, that's up in the air. Who knows what our friend Mr. Trump is going to do. All will be revealed, I'm sure, in the next, 10 days or however long we have until our friend joins us. He's been very vocal about TPP and has very clearly, I was reading something this morning on the way in, he has again said that TPP is off from a US point of view and he wants to abolish it, but within the first 100 days of being the new president. So I think from the US point of view, I don't think it's going to happen. Now it's whether there's a renegotiation with other countries, and that's something that we'll be following closely. So outlook for the residential apartment market, 40 at the moment we're tracking 40 to 45,000 units coming, new launches coming in 2017. Again, big numbers, and that's certainly up on the previous year. And then on the villa and townhouses, about 2,500 units projected to be launched in 2017. Retail space, fairly subdued. 45,000 square meters, nothing too significant on the retail side. What we would like to see on retail is to get the retailers really performing. We need to see a much stronger retail market and the occupancy rate up, which will start driving, hopefully driving some rents up on the upward trend. New office space, I think Ho Chi Minh office is going to be a very active year. 2 new grade A buildings coming to the market, going to get lots of attention, but also there's grade B supply coming through as well. But we expect, the leasing team are flat out at the moment. There's lots of demand, lots of new companies coming into the market. We expect a very strong year for the office market in Ho Chi Minh. Industrial land, new supply, this to 2020, another 15,000 hectares. So strong demand from that FDI, manufacturing is very strong, and we expect some rent increasing as well. M&A, based on the investors that we're seeing in the market at the moment and the transactions that we're currently doing, some of them carrying over from last year, we anticipate a record year for M&A in Vietnam. There is so much demand from both foreign and domestic developers, but there is more opportunities that we're seeing than ever before, and we expect 2017 to be a very strong and a record year for M&A transactions. Significant interest in Vietnam when compared to other sort of Southeast Asian countries. My closing point is, and this is one prediction that I know I can get 100% right, you are going to be seeing a lot more of this man. Thank you very much.